Okay, welcome back to What is America to You, and here is our second and final part of our interview with the great, talented, amazing Ron Sexsmith. Thank you very much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of the show. Well, I think your singing on that album was brilliant, but like I had written down here exactly this: the art of singing you have most definitely studied, and that's what I was trying to say at the beginning. You've reached the height of any singer in your last, the last half dozen, maybe 10 albums. But this album, you've just arrived at being a singer. Like you mentioned Little Jimmy Scott, and I know Michel Froome produced his album Dream, which is a classic album. But you're in the same, in my opinion, you've got Sinatra is the god to me, and I think you would probably not argue that. And then in the room next to him, you have Katie Lang, and you have the English singer, oh my God, I can't think of his name now, Richard Hawley. And if you listen to Richard Hawley, right? I knew you'd know him.
Yeah.
And I would put you in that room with them. You've arrived at singing, which is, it's kind of a Zen thing you've arrived at with singing. And we could go on forever about it. And I don't want to, we only have a limited amount of time. So you really have. I have to say, you're in that room. You're sitting on the right hand or left hand side of Sinatra, and that, for me personally, I know I'm no great special guy in the world, but Sinatra to me is a god. I could talk about him all day, and when I put anybody next to Sinatra, I mean that sincerely. I think you're worthy of being in that room next to Sinatra.
Yeah, well, I was when I got turned on to Sinatra. I was in my 20s. I mean, I was always aware of him, and my grandparents never liked him really, but they were really into Bing Crosby, so I was more aware of him. But I remember picking up my first Sinatra album at a yard sale, and it was this album he made in the 50s where he went back and re-recorded his big hits, but I thought in the 50s he was singing even better than he was in the 40s, And so he does so for the first time in my life, I'm hearing In the Wee Small Hours and Nancy with the Laughing Face and all these songs. And because I'd heard, I guess, from someone that Frank was one of the best at phrasing, and I really wanted to try to learn what that was all about. And you can really hear it, the way he takes his time with the melody and really enunciates and knows when to give it, give it some, power or whatever. And I just listened to that record a lot and became very, then I started watching all these concert videos of him and stuff. But he was someone, it was inevitable I was going to get into him at some point. But like I said, it did take me to, I was about 23 or 24, I think.
Yeah, it tells you singing. And when you mentioned Wee Small Hours of the Morning, all those albums, he had his first, and I'm going to make this quick because I'm a Sinatra freak and I'll probably be accused to never stop talking about him. But it's like if you want to talk about, actors, you're going to talk about the greatest actors. But in the 40s, you're right, his voice was great. You could hear, from 39 when he started recording until the end of his career, his first career with Columbia. And then he had that 2 year where he would walk down the street and nobody would even look at him. Then he came back with what's his name came in, Nelson Riddle came in.
Nelson Riddle.
Right? And it's kind of like your Michel Froome in a way. And they just connected. And the biggest thing was, Sinatra told Riddle, don't step on the vocal, come underneath it, come on top of it. And you can hear that in those albums, particularly Swingin' Affair, Songs for Young Lovers, all around then. And then, towards the Wee Small Hours of the Morning was, as you already said, brilliant. And then he did Only the Lonely, which is kind of him coming out of that depressing, sad, losing Ava Gardner time. And then he was the king of the world, started his own record label, Reprise, and then those albums in the 60s was another phase of him. And you mentioned the concert era. He has 4 stages. So listen, man, we should do a separate interview just talking about Sinatra.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, I mean, I'm probably my least favorite period of his was that sort of 60s period, because obviously it was hard for singers like that, during the British invasion and all that to try to figure out. But even so, he still had a lot of hits in the 60s, but it just like the production of the Nelson Riddle, from the 50s and all that, it just sounded amazing. Like, I think they almost knew how to record better then than they did in the 60s in some weird way.
I agree.
And the songs that he was doing, and like, you got really into the concept album idea, and those albums, like you said, Only the Lonely, and we have another one of his concept albums here. It's sort of got a pink cover. Anyway, there's one that, I'm sort of blanking on all the albums, but
cool.
We have like 3 or 4 of his records, and but they're great because you can put them on and listen to the whole record because it's a cohesive mood, and I like albums that do that.
Yeah, well, he was the second to he brought the concept album that Woody Guthrie began with the Dust Bowl sessions, and then it was Sinatra brought it to a new level, and then of course the Beatles brought it to another new level, and Bowie and all that. But listen, I'm going to stop talking about Sinatra only because I will end up here for 5 hours. But I want to ask you, about your. I said earlier on about your lyrics that you take a phrase, you don't just turn it, you take it and you take the history, the etymology of the word, and you seem to take what's below the word, above the word, to the right, to the left, in front of it, and you deliver it for all of us to listen to, which is why you come up with such great unique turns of phrases. And of course, I know you're a big Dickens fan, and I said to you on the phone, we talked, I think your music is bucolic. It's just got that,
That's a great word, bucolic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, lyrics are, I don't know what for other people it's like, but lyrics have always been the more difficult part. Melody comes to me pretty easily. But at the same time, it is a marriage, right? And you want the lyrics to be as strong as the music, Some songs are, it's a bit of give and take. Some songs, the melody might be slightly better than the lyrics, but, you just want it to fit and be appropriate with whatever you're doing. But I just never wanted to get lazy and start farming out to other people, because I felt a lot of my heroes, on the back of their albums, it'll say all songs written by Joni Mitchell or whoever it is. So I always took pride in that. And, I think on all my albums, there was really only one co-write, and that was one I did wrote a song with Feist called Brandy Alexander. And the only reason I recorded it, because her version was so different from how I thought the song could go, that I thought I should attempt it myself. But yeah, lyric and melody, I take pride in the fact that, that's all my heroes, many of my heroes did that. And obviously there's some great songwriting teams, which I love, like Elton and Bernie and, Johnny Mercer and Harold Arlen, whoever. But I know that I can do it myself if I'm patient, and I do love wordplay, I love anyone who is good with lyrics and anyone who is concise with lyrics and doesn't go a mile out of his way to say something simple. I run to cliches, and common expressions. So it's just, again, in there finding my sound. Like, I wrote Secret Heart so long ago, and it's so simple. Sometimes I think, I don't know if I could write a song like that now, but I've tried to sort of maintain that economy, with lyrics and all that. But
but Miles Davis said it
gets away from me.
Sorry, Ron. Sorry. Yeah, it gets away. I was just going to say, based on what you said, Miles Davis said that it takes you a long time to become yourself, and it is because we have so many layers put on us. Also, you really quickly on when you said about writing lyrics and words, and you had favorite writers, and you Harold Arlen, and there was also a singular writer, and that's where I consider you. It's a singular artist all across the board. Everything you do, how you look, how you speak, how you think, how you write your melody, how you produce, what you pick, every single thing. You're a singular artist. There's no one else like you. And in a way, you're like Cole Porter did all of that together. Okay, he didn't really sing. And Irving Berlin, he wrote everything on his own. And a lot of people forget that in the Great American Songbook, there were those writers. So I just wanted to say that to you. But because we're running out of time, I know you got to go into town. I love the idea of Ron Sexsmith going into town. I just love that idea. That could be a song I could write, called Ron Sexsmith Going Into Town. So we talked earlier on about Elvis Costello. He's a friend of yours and he's a great admirer. When you sang Every Day I Write the Book, we're going to show the video in a couple of seconds. You're singing on that. You start off, your guitar playing is beautiful, and the minute you sing the opening line of Every Day I Write the Book, the audience respectfully go crazy. But your phrasing, you talk about Little Jimmy Scott and back phrasing and Sinatra, your phrasing is as good as any of them. And your phrasing on that is back phrasing, like you say. It's just beautiful. But there's this weird thing, and I say weird in a good way. It's like you're beside one of your heroes and you decide you just throw a little smattering of Elvis Costello into your voice. Do you recall that moment?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true if I'm doing a song by anyone, a cover, Neil Diamond, whoever it is. Not that I'll try to imitate them, but there's something in their delivery of the song that I'm responding to, and I'm trying not to lose sight of. I think that's what Elvis liked about my version of that song, because I was on tour with him in Japan, and I saw the first couple shows, and I remember asking him, hey, you ever going to play Every Day I Write the Book? And he's like, oh, no, I hate that song, or something like this. And I said, well, is it okay if my band plays it in our opening set? And he was kind of intrigued. And so the first night we played it, we worked it out in the dressing room. I saw out of the corner of my eye he was watching from the wings, and at the end of our set, he was just over the moon. He couldn't believe it. He said, just made him kind of see the song. I guess it was the 80s production that he didn't like of his original version, which I always did like. But so he started playing the song again. I mean, not on that tour, but recently, and apparently when he introduces it now, he always says it's the song that I taught him how to play. Which I didn't need to teach him anything, but because I'm just really trying to sing it like him,
But Ron, you brought something out. Like, okay, when you write a melody, if you go la da 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 dee, there's a time signature already there. It's there, and there's a certain tempo. You seem to almost take the DNA and rearrange it a little bit. Like, I'm dead serious, which is what Elvis Costello was obviously hearing. Because someone like him is not going to throw a load of platitudes and niceties at you. He's going to tell you as it is. So you've done something to the structure of that melody, which again, great writers, you're an interpreter of song. Actually, before we move on to get to the end of the show, sadly, I want to say I'd love to hear you do an album of the Great American Songbook. I'd love to hear you do that. That would just be, I'd buy 10 copies just to make sure I kept them all.
Yeah, well, there's definitely I guess the thing would be to find songs that haven't already been done to death, I suppose. There was a period where everyone and his mother was doing the American Songbook album, yeah. but I still think Nilsson's was the best one. Like he just, again, kind of like Sinatra, he knew how to deliver those songs, and he had great affection for them.
Yes.
But the other day I was speaking of Nilsson. He made that record called Nilsson Sings Newman, where he does a lot of those early Randy Newman songs, and someone was saying, you should do Sexsmith Sings Newman and do the songs, the later songs that Nilsson, obviously Randy hadn't written yet. And I remember thinking, oh, that's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Randy would be into that idea. But no, but I may get around to it. Making records are so expensive that generally when I do one, it's because I've written some new songs. Like I have 10 new songs written now, but then COVID comes along, and I don't know when I'm going to have an opportunity to record them or tour or anything. But I'm trying to be patient, because I did have an album out earlier this year. So hopefully in 2022 or something, I could get around to making another one.
Well, I know thousands, I know personally loads of people who love when you release an album. It's an event. By the way, Joni Mitchell did a really great album of the Great American Songbook, and she threw in her own song, a brilliant arrangement of the famous... Yeah, oh, what an album. So listen, Ron, I hate to have to say, but I know you got to go to town. We're coming to the end of the show here, and we've kept it. Well, I mean, it's been brilliant. It's absolutely been brilliant talking to you, listening to you, and a lot of what you're speaking is really my language, and that's, for me, it's like, I guess you hearing Elvis Costello or Paul McCartney speaking your language. It just makes me feel so good to hear that.
Yeah, well, I'm just I've always been a song obsessed kind of person. Even as a kid, hearing Buddy Holly thing doesn't matter anymore or something. Just really focusing on the phrasing and how it all works. And music really, for a lot of people, but I just can't imagine a life without it. And so I'm just so lucky I got to get in the door and have a bit of a career myself.
Right. Well, listen, we're not going to get to the Proust questionnaire, but I'll ask you one question from the Proust questionnaire, because we have to at least ask you one. Do you have a particular one I should ask you, or will I just fire one at you?
No, you could fire them one at me or fire them all at me. I don't care.
Do you have time for them all? I'll make them quick. We make it real quick. Here we go. What is your perfect idea of happiness?
Coffee and a piano.
What is your greatest achievement?
Just getting a record deal, I think. Finally at 30, finally getting signed, and yeah.
Okay. What is your greatest extravagance?
Wow. Probably I have I don't know if it's an extravagance. I have a 1956 Martin that someone gave me that I carried around the house like a teddy bear, but I play it. I just love it.
I've seen that in the video. What is your current state of mind?
Anxious, I think. Just the world makes me very anxious. The election makes me anxious. So right. I'm hoping to have less anxiety at some point.
Right. What do you consider the most overrated virtue? Maybe
patience, because I am a patient person, but sometimes you have no choice, in the matter. So,
Well, you must have patience to get to your next birthday. We can't make it come any quicker, right?
That's right.
What is the quality you most like in a person, Ron?
Non-judgment.
Oh, interesting. What words or phrases do you most overuse?
I think in my songs, I've sing the word time a lot. It seems to be in a lot of song titles I've written, and so I probably overuse that one.
That's interesting. I'm going to look into that. What do you most value in your friends?
Again, a sort of non-judgment, and sense of humor,
Okay, and the last of the Proust questionnaire, which historical figure do you most identify with?
Well, I'm a big, I don't know much about his life, but I'm a big Charles Dickens fan. I always liked his sense of humor and his humanity, the way he sort of wrote about the underdog and all that. I tried to do that in my own way. I know he came out from an impoverished background. I came from a poor family, so not, obviously living in Canada is pretty good. If you're pretty lucky to grow up here, even, But I just always related to his sense of humor and the things that he seemed to stand for and believe in.
Yeah, you could be, and I say this with all respect, you could be Joe Gargery in a certain way.
Yeah, well, I always loved that character because you just felt for him. He was just a decent person, but obviously in certain, high society, he felt awkward and he didn't feel comfortable. And then at one point, it was kind of sad because Pip loved him, but he also felt a little embarrassed by him. What I mean? Because he reminded him of his past and where he came from. Some people don't like to be reminded of that.
Yeah, and I think if you are a person who is got their head on straight, you love to be reminded of your past, because without knowing your past, you don't know where you're going. Anyway, our very last question is the name of our show. Ron Sexsmith, what is America to you?
Well, America, obviously when I started in making records, it's kind of the place that all eyes are always on America, and it's the place you kind of want to succeed there, or you want to feel like you exist there. I don't know what it is about America. It just seemed for a long time, in the 20th century, it seemed like it's a place where everything is happening, all the best music, all the best movies. And I think in recent years, I think its reputation has been a little bit damaged on the world stage, and maybe that's just what happens, when I would say empires fall and all that stuff. But I've never given up on it. The people in America are so great. I mean, I think they're a lot more friendly even than people in Canada, who tend to be kind of reserved and shy. people will say hi to you on the subway there or something.
Yeah.
But it meant a lot to me to get signed in America, because I got turned down by every label in Canada for years until I finally got a deal in LA. So it means kind of really the start of my whole existence. My music existence was America. It's still a place where you want to believe in it, that in the good and the possibilities that it, people can really make a go of it there. But hopefully, hopefully, well, I guess, the election's tomorrow, so we'll see where it's heading. But anyway, I've always loved that place. It's really the land of dreams,
Yeah, listen, I'm an immigrant. I came over here 20 years ago, just became an American citizen. And I'll say this, I love American people. I love the spirit of Americans. I love Canadians too, but I love the spirit of America. America has given me everything. And we had David Bowie's guitar player on here, Jerry Leonard, and he said a great thing. It packed into this question, what is America to you? He said, America in its best suit of clothes is a great place. And I thought that was great,
Yeah. No, that's that. I wish I had said that. I mean, that's what, it's such a powerful question, it's like, it brings up a whole lot of stuff. So, but anyway, no, I just hope I haven't been there since 2015, and my wife is American, and, so we've gone and visited her family, but I mean, I haven't done any shows there, and I'm really hoping that this COVID will disappear and we can get back to doing
absolutely
what we were doing.
Well, I'd like to extend an invitation. My wife and I, we have a fairly big house and the kids are grown, so you're welcome to stay at Air Wisteria House, from your Chateau Marmite to Air Wisteria House, and we have many rooms, and I play billiards, you can play billiards and listen to Sinatra. But Ron, I can't tell you how thrilled I have been to talk to you so much over the last week. You're a gentleman, you're a true artist, and I just hope that you live to the 150. Like Sinatra said, may the last voice you ever hear be mine. Ron Sexsmith, thank you so much for appearing on What is America to You. From me and Jessica.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Jessica. Thanks, Derek. Nice chatting with you. And let me know when this airs, and I'll tell my people over here. So
thank you. Enjoy your trip to town, Ron. Thank you.
I will. Thanks, man. All right, take care now.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Ron, thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. I don't know what to say. I just don't. You know when you try to explain your heroes, other people kind of look at you like a dog like this, because we don't understand why. It's everything about our life. It's who we are. I'm trying to remember how I first heard him. Oh, it was on a show in Ireland called The Night Train with John Kelly, and he was playing all this great music, and he played, I think, Right About Now. So we didn't get a chance to show the video. Just check out, we'll put it in the link below, of him singing with Elvis Costello. You're talking incredible singing. So I heard this Right About Now, went out, bought the album Whereabouts, and I arrived in America with that, as I said earlier on, and it's such a beautiful album. So to be and then I bought loads of his albums. My brother loves him. My friend Mick McDonald loves him. We talk about him all the time. And when Ron releases a new album, Mick says to me, "Wait till you fucking hear this." He's like, the melody would make you cry. And Mick's a great songwriter himself. And Mick has great access to great melody. So, and my friend David Dash, we talked last night about the string. So he's just one of our heroes. So to talk to him, okay, now I'll try to be professional. Guys, I have nothing more to say except that was Ron Sexsmith, genius songwriter. As you can hear, the dichotomy of it being a genius songwriter and being a guy that's going to town, living in his house. Incredible, incredible, incredible. I'm just blown away. And his answer to What is America to You was great. Threefold.
Oh, yeah.
So brilliant.
Awesome.
And of course, he's Canadian.
Hello, Canadian.
So, you've seen it all. I have no more to say. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to What is America to You. This is just great. You've got to send this to all your friends. Give us a like, comment on everything we talked about here, and also put in the comment section, what is America to you? Say what you want to say. There is none of our guests are edited. Everybody gets to speak. Even if you want to say something bad, say it. We gotta be heard, and that's the thing about our show. Jessica has a great saying. What's the one about our greatest strength?
Your greatest strength is knowing each other's weaknesses, your partners.
This is great. Jessica said this to me and I thought it was great. And my saying is, it's from a Bowie song, of course. It's, please show respect even if you disagree. So I'm a little off script here, but I'm going to turn to this camera and say, from me and Jessica here at What is America to You, goodbye for now.
Driving along, minding my own business, heading east through the Kentucky rain. There on the radio, Johnny Cash was singing. I hurt myself just to see if I still feel pain.